Welcome back, and if you're just joining us, it's still Daybreak on Trust TV, and right now we have Dr. Salahuddin Hashim, and he's joining us via telephone. He's a security and counterterrorism expert, and he will be joining us to discuss cases of extrajudicial killings in Nigeria following the recent murder of Omobolale Rahim and Gafaru Braimo by the police in Lagos State recently. Dr. Salahuddin joins us on the telephone. Good morning, Dr. Salahuddin.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
All right, it's nice to have you on the program. All right, so talking about extrajudicial killings, I mean, like, we've had some issues. Hello?
Hello, yeah, I can hear you clearly. Please go ahead.
All right. So we've had cases of extrajudicial killings in the country, and most recently the ones on Christmas Day of the Lagos-based lawyer, and of course other people as well. How bad is this situation, and how can we be able to mitigate it if we can? Because it doesn't seem like it's abating.
Okay, thank you very much. I think the first question to really interrogate is what is the psychology of policing in Nigeria? If we interrogate the psychology of policing, it will probably give us an understanding into this very sad trajectory that we have recorded in over a decade. Just in December 2021, a report was actually launched by CBD and of course gave us a decade of mayhem, saying that over 13,421 civilians have been extrajudiciously killed by combined security agencies in Nigeria. So it actually calls for worry, and of course that number does not reflect for 2022. It actually calls for worry how this has actually reached its crescendo and how it migrated into the NSAS protest, and of course begin to interrogate what exactly is the ideology of policing. And of course, if you look at what the function of police is, it is basically to detect, deter, contain, and of course prevent crime, and of course putting citizens at the center. But unfortunately, I think there is this ideal that speaks to the pre-colonial mentality of our policing infrastructure, telling us very clearly that policing is about regime protection, protecting those who are actually managing the state, and of course the repressive and oppressive component of how citizens should be at the receiving end has continued to permeate. And if you look at the catalog of killing, it has actually become extremely worrisome, and it tells us very clearly that citizens must actually begin to engage in an entire and holistic reform of the entire security and policing system in the country. And I think the policing reform is basically taking on a simple aspect of infrastructure, industry, and of course the administration, without looking at the operationalization of actually how this interfaces with citizens on a day-to-day basis. And of course, coming to what actually transpired on Christmas Day, it tells us very clearly that policing is actually still being viewed as marksmanship. Policing is actually still being viewed as armament, and policing is not being seen as a service and of course as a medium to protect, and of course putting citizens at the center. So very clearly, the issue of torture and the issue of unlawful detention, freedom of gathering has continued to threaten policing system in the country, and that is why we see that there is a need for a more civilized and modern policing. And of course, the Police Act is actually very correct. The Police Act was actually very deliberate in actually targeting, modernizing the Nigerian police. And of course, to the very extent, there has been some marginal gains. But unfortunately, the personnel component of reforms has actually been missing. The psychology, the psychological health, the issue of welfare, all of those things have provided a cumulative effect on how police and police officers actually conduct themselves against citizens out there. The first order of the state is to protect lives and property. And if citizens things are now feeling very threatening by the same state actors that are being paid by taxpayers, then it calls for a lot of concern. And I think this is actually one big issue that requires additional interrogation. And I think there should be a deliberate personnel reform approach and infrastructure that would help us conduct men in uniform as being professional.
Okay, Salahuddin, how much have we seen when it comes to enforcing or implementation of reports, investigations? I mean, this is not the first time we're having this kind of thing. So in previous times, we've had several cases of extrajudicial killing by officers, you know, in uniform. So how much have we seen in terms of the investigations that will normally follow these incidences and, you know, the implementation of some of the recommendations of those reports?
To be very fair to you, to be very fair to the Nigerian police currently has the most effective and efficient on-the-road trial in the world. And that I dare to say, in recent past, yes, maybe some 5 years ago and backward, probably that was not the case. But in the last year or two, there has been some very accelerated on-the-road trial that has actually facilitated and fast-tracked the issue of confidence building. And the idea behind it was deliberate. I actually had the opportunity to speak to some German police top brass, and a number of them didn't think it was right. But I said, look, for us, the context is different. And it is because we need to build confidence of citizens to let them know that there has been some deliberate approach by the state and by the institution to punish and of course to prosecute and of course to provide that leadership. And that has happened. And of course, in the last 1 or 2 years, we have had close to about 23 on-the-road trials that have been very successful. And of course, all the personnel that were actually caught in that way have been demoted. Some of them have been derobed and deranked, and some of them have actually been handed over for further prosecution. Yes, the idea of following that through with the other aspects of the justice system is something that we need to really pay a lot of attention to. But within the system, there has been this progressive zero tolerance approach to these kinds of situations. But obviously, it is actually a system that is organized in terms of delivering this kind of situation. So coming back from the traditional approach of how they repress and oppress citizens has been very difficult.
Okay.
But for some that have been very prominent and evidence is very overwhelming, we have seen some level of deliberate approach by the institution to actually deal with them.
Okay, what can we do about the issues that has to do with mental stability of officers carrying firearms? Because that's a major factor there. Sometimes you really can't tell the mental stability of, you know, some of these officers. Sometimes they are working under the influence, and sometimes, you know, they're just not stable. So what can we do about that?
I think the first thing to do is to reintroduce or to reactivate a component that we have in security recruitment process that we call vetting. Vetting is actually a very thorough process that subjects a recruit to a number of processes and of course procedure before you are finally commissioned. And of course it checks your background, criminal background, check your addiction, drug test, and all of those things actually you have to undertake all of those. Unfortunately, that is not the case. And it is no longer the case because of a number of commercialization of our recruitment process.
So you talk about the recruitment process, yes.
The number of circumspect, because if you look at it very clearly, you will realize that the front line of bad recruits and personnel actually begins from the point of recruitment.
Okay,
employment. And that is because we do not satisfy. It is not because we don't have the rules and procedures.
Okay, Salahuddin.
Because of the economic component.
Salahuddin,
bypass all of those things,
yeah.
and of course get people into the system without subjecting them to a number of alternatives. So we need to constantly reactivate the vetting process of every recruiter personnel before they are commissioned into the system.
Salahuddin, I hear you talk about recruitment process, but is that all that there is that we need to address? Because you have people who perhaps at the time of joining the force are straight, they are well behaved, but here they join the service, and then maybe a few years down the line, they become something else.
Absolutely. I was actually going to get to the second point. One was vetting. The second one is actually the vetting process of every personnel. If you go to police college in Ikeja, and of course there was one damning report that was actually issued some years back about how people, the environment you bake your personnel actually tells them very clearly what personnel becomes eventually. So the process itself is actually very endemic in actually bad practices. And obviously, if you begin to recruit people to give them this ideology that they are not, there are certain things they are not open to be aware of, particularly their welfare, their remuneration. If you get there, a personnel, a cadet cannot tell you exactly the amount that is actually due to him between the time he gets in and the time he graduates. That is one. The third one is actually the psychosocial health system. Psychosocial support is actually very weak and in most cases totally absent. And I tell you very clearly, the issue of rotation from beat, the issue of providing mental health support is totally missing. These are some of the indicators that actually speaks to the reason why personnel are in brutish manner. And
Doctor.
In most cases, is the fact that a number of them have also not been rotated from their beat in a long while. And that for me is not the practice.
Thank you,
anywhere.
Doctor. Thank you.
Every policing has a rotation system.
All right.
Take off personnel from a particular beat and recycle them again, and they will have actually gained stability and therefore they will have been fresh. But if you put them on a beat consistently, it affects their judgment. And that's discretionary powers.
All right, thank you, Doctor.
Discretionary power when they are fatigued can actually be misjudged.
Thank you for your perspectives. I mean, thank you for the insights. Unfortunately, we have to go because of time. We appreciate you. We look forward to having you join us again another time to give more insight on this particular subject. Thank you, Dr. Salahuddin, Security and Counterterrorism Consultant, for your perspectives.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right. Well, that's our show for today. In case you've missed, you can always catch up across all our social media platforms and also on our YouTube channel. I am Ayuba Ilya. Join us again tomorrow for another time on the program.
Well, it's been amazing being here to bring Daybreak to you this lovely morning. Let's do it all again tomorrow. I am Ibrahim Yusuf.